What can you get for $700,000 if you're shopping for a property? Well, it will vary greatly depending on where you want to live or invest. Herron Todd White looked around the country so we can prove it is possible to buy a property for that amount in all the states. I'm joined by Hendrey to take a look through the possibilities. Drew, let's start in New South Wales. I guess there you'd be looking at a unit, wouldn't you, around the $700,000. What about regional New South Wales?
Yeah, look, Kevin, you would think so in the metropolitan locations around Sydney, although you'd be surprised at what you can achieve for $700,000 in Western Sydney and also around inner Sydney and eastern suburbs. There's still quite a bit of value to be seen in those areas around around Western Sydney and inner Sydney. But as you said, in regional New South Wales, we've certainly highlighted Lismore as an area where there's quite a bit of value. Although not a lot has changed over the last year or so throughout those locations. But around Casino, Lismore, your 700,000 will pick you up a good sized rural residential property or a nicely sized family home.
Of course, Melbourne right now too, we've mentioned it already in this show, in the middle of a bit more of a lockdown, but I guess we're looking at the broad term here. Melbourne, you say in your report that 700,000 can go a long way. How far?
Yeah, well, I mean, we like to be optimistic, but Melbourne is obviously suffering the effects of this second wave at the moment, and that in itself is creating some value in some markets. Yes. But Melbourne is and has traditionally been, as we know, a more affordable city, especially in comparison to Sydney from a median house price perspective, and really there are still some great value suburbs around, certainly in the north, in the inner west, that you can find quite new stock on the market for less than 700,000, and that's one of the reasons why Melbourne has been so attractive to first home buyers for a long period of time.
Yeah, let's go to Queensland now, and I guess you'd be looking at the Gold Coast. A lot of good buying around the Gold Coast, but what about regional Queensland around Hervey Bay? There's been a lot of stock there in recent times, but what's that market? How's that performing now, Drew?
Yeah, look, Hervey Bay, Mackay, they are going okay, considering, and really what we're looking at there is the effect that this pandemic has had on the tourism market, and to that point, there has been quite a bit of stock on the market in certain key areas, but there's your 700,000, particularly in Mackay, will pick you up a really well-appointed or fully renovated home. Hervey Bay, you'd be looking at something similar or within really close proximity to the beaches, and really high level of appointment.
South Australia seems to be doing quite well right now. They went through a bit of a rough patch when some industries pulled out, but that's travelling quite well. I imagine 700,000 would buy you a nice property there in Adelaide.
Yeah, certainly close to the city, within really close, proximity to the beaches, potentially. And given that they've locked out the Victorians, I think that the prices have still held up really well. And also the Adelaide Hills too, Kevin. We can't. If you want something a bit larger, going out a little bit in Adelaide gets you an awful lot of value. And there's some really beautiful homes throughout the hills that are attracting some quite good prices too.
In WA, what are we seeing there?
Well, WA, Perth's market has probably been one of the markets that has felt the effects over recent times, and of course it came back quite a bit before COVID, and then it had to sort of suffer through this period as well. So there is quite a bit of speculative buying occurring. We've got a median house price that's on that has fallen. I think it's at 475 at the moment for the Perth market, and of course we've got fairly steady transaction rates now occurring in Perth. So, look, Perth has traditionally been one of those boom bust markets, as we know, but there is still value to be seen, throughout the Perth region. You have to go fairly, in suburbs like Bull Creek, for instance, which is quite considerably south of the Perth CBD, where you can pick property up, and likewise in the southeast as well.
What about the ACT? Been very impressed with the ACT in recent times. Doesn't seem to have had much impact from COVID, but what are we seeing in there?
Yeah, look, it's been very consistent, hasn't it? And really, around the Lake Districts, Cook, all of these desirable sort of suburbs, there's been really strong capital growth, and as a result of that, 700 is it's still there's still property priced at that level, but it is becoming more challenging to find property lower than that. That's for sure.
We can't forget Tasmania. That's had a great run, particularly in recent years around Hobart and Launceston. What do you think's worth looking at in Tasmania?
Yeah, look, I mean, Hobart for a long period of time, as you say, has really been performing very strongly, and look, 700 wasn't going to pick you up a lot in a lot of the inner ring around Hobart, and indeed, over $1 million. It wasn't unusual to find sale prices over $1 million. That's probably eased back a little bit just with the restrictions on interstate travel. The speculation's probably come out of the market a little bit, but certainly. I'd expect to see, and we still have seen quite strong prices throughout Hobart. The northern cities of Devonport and Launceston, less so. There's still quite a bit of value in those cities, and obviously 700 will take. You'll get a bit further more for your money.
Drew, great talking to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Drew is from Herron Todd White and had a look around Australia. Thanks for your time, Drew.
It's a pleasure, Kevin. Good to talk to you. Bye.